This will start the Facebook stream, and this will start the reading. Finally, thanks for your patience, everybody. Today it's Workbook Lesson 134, and we do not have our friends here. Let's welcome in Tom, Dad, and Adriana. Hi, guys. I'm so sorry you're not here. Are you here?
Now we.
Well,
Oh, there you are.
I'm playing the ghost role, so
Oh,
I'm the
I've got to
ghost
fix
in the
this.
house.
There we go. Okay, now I've got all my friends here. Friends have arrived. I got to pin Tom to the front. If you guys want to follow along, you can now follow along by going to the YouTube link, or at least whenever Adriana gets around to posting it. But then you'll see me fixing the Zoom window and getting Tom first in line. That's where he belongs. And I put myself last in line. That's where I belong. And now it's all going to start to make sense to you if you want to follow along. You don't have to follow along. Obviously, we've been doing Clubhouse for a long time. It's an audio thing here. We're not here for the video. But now I'm fixing stuff. So I got to MacGyver this. All right, there we go. Looking great. Everybody looks great. You guys look awesome. Look at you. Dad's all got nice blue plaid on. And Tom's the man of the mountain.
The
Adriana looking.
spirit in the mountain.
Thank
There's my
you. Thank
spirit
you.
in the
Yes.
mountain.
Thank you. Got to get
Thank
it
you.
right, Lee. Come on. Come on. Rookie mistake over there. All right. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Workbook lesson 134. Let us review the meaning of forgive. Tom, did you do this on purpose? My goodness. Let us review the meaning of forgive. For forgive is apt to be distorted and to be perceived by your ego as something that entails an unfair sacrifice of righteous wrath, a gift unjustified and undeserved, and a complete denial of the truth. In such a view, forgiveness must be seen by the ego as a mere eccentric folly. And this course appear to rest salvation on a whim of egoic forgiveness. Your ego sees forgiveness as an unfair sacrifice of the righteous wrath, a gift unjustified and undeserved, and a complete denial of the truth. It is this twisted view of what forgiveness means that is easily corrected when you can accept the fact that pardon is not asked for what is true. Pardon must be limited to what is false. Pardon is irrelevant to everything except illusions. Truth is God's creation, and to pardon truth is meaningless. All truth belongs to God, reflects God's laws, and radiates God's love. Does truth and God's love need pardon? How can you forgive the sinless and eternally benign? The major difficulty that you find in genuine forgiveness on your part is that you still believe you must forgive the truth and not illusions. You conceive of pardon as a vain attempt to look past what is there, to overlook the truth in an unfounded effort to deceive yourself by making an illusion true. This twisted, egoic viewpoint but reflects the hold that the idea of sin retains as yet upon your split mind, as you still regard yourself as a sinful little s self. Because your little s self thinks your sins are real, you look on pardon as deception, for it is impossible to think of sin as true and not believe forgiveness, as the ego understands it, is a lie. Ooh, let me read that a little bit differently. It is impossible to think of sin as true and not believe forgiveness, as the ego understands it, is a lie. Thus is forgiveness, as seen by the ego's fear-based thought system, really is but a sin, like all the rest. The ego's view of forgiveness says the truth is false and smiles on what the ego judges falsely to be the corrupt sinner, as if the sinner were blameless as the grass, white as snow. To the ego, forgiveness is delusional in what it thinks forgiveness can accomplish. To the ego, forgiveness would see as right the plainly wrong, the loathsome as good. If you're following along with me as I'm reading, you may notice how I'm reading the bold text. That's the text that Tom's adding, and so I'm really trying to put the emphasis on what the words from the main book are, but also relate Tom's additions, because I think that clarity is super helpful, but it's not part of the actual book. Anyway, it's just a way of trying to read this for clarity, and if it sounded weird, that's why it sounded weird. All right, paragraph 5. Pardon is no escape in such a view that sin is real. Pardon is merely a further sign that sin is unforgivable, at best to be concealed, denied, or called another name. For pardon is a treachery to truth. Guilt cannot be forgiven. If you sin, your guilt is everlasting. Those who are forgiven from the view their sins are real are pitifully mocked and twice condemned. Those who believe that their sins are real, first condemned by themselves what sins they think they did, and once again by those who pardon them for their fictitious sins. It's sin's unreality that makes true forgiveness natural and wholly sane, a deep relief to those who offer true forgiveness due to sin's unreality, a quiet blessing where forgiveness is received. Due to sin's unreality, true forgiveness does not countenance illusions, but collects these illusions lightly with a little laugh and gently lays the illusions at the feet of truth. That should be truth with a capital T. And there, before the truth, the illusions disappear entirely. Forgiveness is the only thing that stands for truth in the illusions of the world. Due to sin's unreality, true forgiveness sees the illusion's nothingness and looks straight through the 1,000 forms in which illusions may appear. Due to sin's unreality, true forgiveness looks on lies, but forgiveness is not deceived by illusion's lies. Due to sin's unreality, true forgiveness does not heed the self-accusing shrieks of the sinners mad with guilt. Due to sin's unreality, true forgiveness looks on those who believe they're sinners with quiet eyes and merely says to them, "My brother, what you think is not the truth. You have not sinned." The strength of pardon is pardon's honesty, which is so uncorrupted that pardon sees illusions as illusions, not as truth. It is because pardon does not mistake the illusion of sin for truth that pardon becomes the undeceiver in the face of lies, the great restorer of the simple truth. By pardon's ability to overlook what is not There, pardon opens up the way of truth, which has been blocked by dreams of guilt. Now, are you free to follow in the way your true forgiveness opens up to you? You are able to ask your big S self what it would have you do. For if one brother has received this gift of ending his guilt by true forgiveness through you, the door of true forgiveness that ends guilt is open to yourself also. There is a very simple way to find the door to true forgiveness and perceive the door of true forgiveness open wide and welcome. When you feel that you're tempted to accuse someone of sin in any form, do not allow your egoic mind to dwell on what you think he did, for that is egoic self-deception. Ask instead, would I accuse myself of doing this? That is an awesome measuring stick. Would I accuse myself of doing this? Thus, will you see alternatives for choice in terms that render choosing meaningful and keep your mind as free from guilt and pain as God Himself intended your mind to be free of guilt and pain, as your higher self is in truth. It is but lies that would condemn. In truth is innocence, the only thing there is. Due to sin's unreality, true forgiveness stands between illusions and the truth. Due to sin's unreality, true forgiveness stands between the world you see through your ego's viewpoint and that which lies beyond. True forgiveness between the hell of guilt and heaven's gate. Across this bridge of true forgiveness, as powerful as love which laid love's blessing on true forgiveness, are all dreams of evil and of hatred and attack brought silently to truth. All dreams of evil and attack are not kept to swell and bluster and to terrify the foolish dreamer who believes in these false dreams. He who once believed the dreams of sin and attack were real has gently wakened from his dream by understanding what he thought he egoically saw was never there. And now he who once believed the dreams of sin were real cannot feel that all escape has been denied to him. He who once believed the dreams of sin and attack were real does not have to fight to save himself. He who once believed these sins were real does not have to kill the dragons which he thought pursued him in those dreams. Nor need he erect the heavy walls of stone and iron doors he thought would make him safe from those dreams of sin. He who once believed that his dreams of sin were real can remove the ponderous and useless armor made to chain his mind to fear and misery. His step is light, and as he lifts his foot to stride ahead, a star is left behind to point the way to those who follow him to the truth that sin is unreal. True forgiveness must be practiced, for the world cannot perceive the meaning of true forgiveness, nor provide a guide to teach you the beneficence of true forgiveness. There is no thought in all the world that leads to any understanding of the laws of true forgiveness. There is no thought in all the world that leads to any understanding of the laws that true forgiveness follows, nor the thought due to sin's unreality that true forgiveness reflects. The thought of what true forgiveness means is as alien to the world as is your own reality, which is your sinlessness. And yet, the thought of what true forgiveness means joins your mind with the reality in you. That's your higher self. Today, we practice true forgiveness, that the time of joining be no more delayed. For we would meet with our higher self's reality in freedom and in peace. Our practicing becomes the footsteps lightening up the way for all our brothers who will follow us to the reality we share with them as our higher selves. That this may be accomplished, let us give a quarter of an hour twice today and spend that time with the guide. That's big G guide, the Holy Spirit with a capital W, who understands the meaning of true forgiveness and was sent to us to teach true forgiveness and sin's unreality. Let us ask of the Holy Spirit, let me perceive true forgiveness as it is. Think about that for a moment. Let me perceive true forgiveness as it is. Let me perceive true forgiveness as it is. Then choose one brother as the Holy Spirit will direct, and catalog your brother's sins as one by one they cross your mind. Be certain not to dwell on any one of your brother's sins, but realize that you are using his offenses, but to save the world from all ideas of sin. Briefly consider all the evil things you thought of your brother, and each time you ask yourself, would I condemn myself for doing this? Let your brother be freed from all the thoughts you had of sin in him, and now you are prepared for freedom. If you have been practicing thus far in willingness and honesty, you will begin to sense a lifting up, a lightening of the weight across your chest, a deep and certain feeling of relief. The time remaining should be given to experiencing the escape from all the heavy chains you sought to lay upon your brother, but were laid upon yourself. You have the keys to let yourself out. Paragraph 17. True forgiveness should be practiced through the day, for there will be many times when you forget the meaning of true forgiveness and attack yourself as a sinner. When this belief in sin's reality occurs, allow your mind to see through this illusion as you tell yourself, let me perceive true forgiveness as it is. Would I accuse myself of doing this? I will not lay this chain upon myself. In everything you do, remember this. No one is crucified alone, and yet no one can enter heaven by himself. And that is today's lesson. And I'm going to read the notes, and we'll have a little meditation. Hope everybody is having a great Saturday morning. Happy Saturday, May 14th to you all. All right, the notes to lesson 134. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Everything looking good out there? All thumbs up? Thumbs up. All good. Sweet. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. This lesson asks that we perceive forgiveness as it is. See how that works with the title and the first line? It's almost like that every single time. So, my question to you is the following. This is Tom's notes, by the way. It's not I'm just reading the notes here. And Tom, did they clear up the book? They fixed that part yet? Do we have a title that we can talk about? No, I think you're on mute, bud. Tom, I think you're on mute if you were sharing, but you can tell us later too. No big deal.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know it's understanding A Course in Miracles. Just
Oh,
understanding A
yes.
Course in Miracles. There's a workbook, which would be understanding A Course in Miracles workbook lesson, which is what you're reading from, and then the text is understanding A Course in Miracles text. So it's there and they're available. But I'm
Amazon.
trying to get all the uh, some technical issues straightened out with Amazon on one issue on the
Do you
workbook,
feel like you got them
and
finally
just getting
straightened
those
out?
reviews. Yeah, I thought it was, but uh, it's still not. So just
I
give
want to
me
buy it.
another week, hopefully, or a few
I want to
days.
buy it. I don't want to wait
Thanks.
anymore.
Okay. Well, it- just uh, just wait. That's fine. You've got it already, but that well, I didn't look on the thing, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know.
Because that's not the one that I really that is this version, but there's different numbers, ASI or A SIN numbers, and I want you to get it on the right number, and they've got it on the wrong number right now. That's the
My
problem.
God.
So,
I'm going to be your guinea pig. You're going to
yeah.
have me as your guinea pig. Look at
Well,
this. Copyright 2014, Understanding A Course in Miracles Workbook, Lessons How to End Blame, Shame, Guilt, and Fear with Love and Forgiveness. Everything we've always wanted. All
Oh my
right,
god.
back
so
to where we were.
so
Sorry, there's a little
so
bit of a show.
it's there, but it's got the wrong number on it, wrong identification number.
The
So
wrong identification number.
uh, yeah, for their purpose. So that's what I'm trying to get straight now.
I gotta
Everything
tell these
else
Amazon
is
people, you gotta get Jeff Bezos out of space and back down to
yeah.
Earth and getting our books straight.
Uh,
All right. Anyway, my Kindle my Kindle crashed. So let me try one more time here. And I can perceive forgiveness as it is. This lesson asks that we perceive forgiveness as it is, rather than know forgiveness. The concept of forgiveness can only exist in the world of perception. In the real world, which is the mind of God, forgiveness makes no sense and is a meaningless term. As strange as it may sound, forgiveness is not an attribute of God. You would think that if God is only love, forgiveness would be an attribute of a loving God. Yet, in order to forgive, one must have first condemned. God does not forgive because God has never condemned anything. God's love is freely given, and there is nothing you can do to stop the flow of that unconditional love. Another reason why forgiveness does not exist in the real world or mind of God is because in order to forgive, one party must have harmed another. This implies two things that are impossible in the real world or mind of God. The first is that in a oneness of all that is, there's nothing outside the oneness, capital O, oneness. And therefore, the concept of two separate, autonomous beings is impossible. The other reason that a oneness of all that is invulnerable and therefore cannot be harmed. Being unlimited spirit, no one can harm you or rob you of your inner peace unless you choose to allow it. If it is your own choice to allow something to interfere with your own inner peace, this means that it was your decision, and you cannot be a victim of outside forces that are beyond your control. That, by the way, from my perspective, Tom, is one of the most powerful pieces. That was the keys to letting me out of my own personal jail. Really appreciated the way that you put that there. Cannot believe we're already on 134 of the year. All right, the concept of forgiveness belongs in the realm of perception because perception deals with illusions, not reality. Because of this lesson's goal is to help us perceive forgiveness as it is in relationship to this fear-based world. When we utilize true forgiveness in the world of perception, our reframed story will more clearly align with the truth of what we really are in the world of the mind of God. Although, in the world of time and space, egoic world, it appears that the laws of love have been superseded by the laws of fear, this is not actually the case. The laws of God supersede our ego's laws, even in our fear-based dream world. We just fail to recognize this fact because of our allegiance to the ego's thought system of lack, limitation, and separation. We confuse form with content or purpose. Form is an illusion and of no meaning. The purpose or content is the why behind your wanting to have that experience. That's the truth. The content is what gives value to the experience. Even the illusions of time, in the illusions of time, the content always follows the laws of God. It's our ego's illusions that keep that from seeming real. For example, we don't believe that to give is to receive right the same moment. The world teaches that when you give, you lose what you once had. The laws of the world see giving as a sacrifice. And so the ego says you should only give to get. Although our egoic world operates from this framework, when we examine the facts, we realize that what we give, we ultimately do receive. Our ego confuses and mistakes form with content. When you give fear, you get fear. The laws of God deal with content, not illusionary form. Surprisingly, this lesson says that sin does not require condemnation. With sin comes guilt, and that guilt cannot be forgiven. The lesson says that if you commit a sin, your guilt is everlasting. Pardon or forgiveness is not appropriate, justifiable, or even possible to be received or given if sin is involved. But didn't an earlier lesson say that forgiveness is the key to happiness and that forgiveness offers everything that I want? How can these statements be reconciled with the fact that sins cannot be forgiven? In the egoic world, we understand the word forgiveness to be defined as the suspension of righteous wrath or the giving up of the right to retribution that an injured party is entitled to receive from the wrongdoer. The party that has been wronged is entitled to retribution, but may occasionally decline to exercise those rights to the full extent that justice would allow. In this case, the victim would be sacrificing their right to retribution and would, in essence, be giving a gift that was unjustified and undeserved to the party who had committed the punishable act. In our egoic world, forgiveness rests on the whim of the victim. The offending party is not entitled, nor has any right to demand the gift of forgiveness be granted. The only thing the offending party is entitled to is the everlasting guilt associated with this harming of another. Forgiveness cannot take away his guilt, nor wipe the slate clean. The offering of penance or the paying of retribution may balance the scales between the two parties, but that balancing only results in both parties harboring everlasting guilt for wronging each other. In this case, the victim's retribution may be viewed by the outside world as justified, but it still involves the taking or harming of the original perpetrator of the crime. This taking from another, regardless of the ego's justification, results in feelings of guilt associated with the restitution the victim received. This balancing of the scale continues to perceive that the guilt associated with the sins of each party are real and everlasting. This lesson asks us to perceive the term forgiveness in a different light that more properly aligns with the truth that no one can rob you of your inner peace unless you allow it. You are not the body and the world of perception. You're not the body, and the world of perception is played on the game board of time. Time is a medium that gives us the opportunity to experience what we desire in perfect safety and without any adverse consequences that would affect or change what we truly are. Events in this world have no ability to change the truth that we remain as God created us, perfect, whole, and complete. We remain part of the oneness of all that is. What A Course in Miracles calls forgiveness would perhaps be more appropriately identified with the concept that if there is no harm, there is no foul. Because of the inability of experiences on the game board of time and space to change what you are, these experiences cannot harm you or another. Experiences are merely tests or learning lessons to provide feedback as to what you truly value and why. If a cause does not have an effect, it's not a cause. Sin is the harming of yourself or another. A sin without harmful effect or victim cannot be a sin. Without sin, there's no harm and nothing to condemn. Without condemnation, there is nothing to forgive. So, truly, no harm, no foul, man. The major difficulty that the world and our egos have with genuine forgiveness is our ego's belief that we must forgive the truth that harm was actually inflicted on you or another. The ego believes you're the body, and the body is you. Only bodies can attack and be harmed. The body's actually a neutral communication device that demonstrates what your mind values. The body is a mere game token that holds a place on the game board of planet Earth. The ego doesn't believe that this play school of time and space is not real and only a game board for fun and learning. In the world of perception, we're actually asked to forgive the illusion that provided the appearance that someone's game token was actually harmed by another or themselves. Earlier, I asked the question, what the definition of true forgiveness as understood by A Course in Miracles, what it was. I would like to offer you a definition to utilize when you see the term forgiveness referenced in these lessons. True forgiveness does not follow the typical definition, since it acknowledges the unreality of the idea of sin and harm. After all, how could learning the truth be harmful? In time and space, forgiveness would be described as follows. I forgive my brother for all the wrongs I thought he did to me that never really occurred. This is the recognition that there are no victims and there are no victimizers. Instead, there are only willing volunteers on the game board of rediscovering who they really are. It acknowledges the world of perception as a means for learning and reawakening rather than a place of punishment or a place where you have to earn your salvation. If sin were real, it would mean that there is some outside force that could harm or rob you of your inner peace. If sin were real, you would no longer be unlimited and part of the shared mind of God. You would be changed and no longer as God created you. This would change God's will and change God. Separation would be real. If sin were possible, sin cannot be forgiven. And if you sinned, your guilt would be everlasting. But sin is not real. Sin is impossible, and this is why we're asked to only perceive forgiveness as it is. For in the mind of God, the real world, forgiveness is meaningless and serves no purpose. And then comes the question. And I thank you guys for sitting with me through the notes. We'll do a little meditation. And I'm just going to read the question here. But good morning, everybody. Take a minute to say hi. And I'll read the question. We'll have our little meditation. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Jenna,
Can barely hear you.
you were up. I'm going to invite you to speak again, Jenna, but not, I don't know
Adriana,
if you, what?
you're far away from your mic.
Ah,
It's
okay.
hard to hear
No,
you.
it's just, I'm sending invitation to people to come up to speak, and I saw Jenna was up and now down, so I'm
She was
sending.
so helpful to me earlier.
That's great.
I had some one of me, the one of me that plays the music was super choppy and was not playing clear music at all, and hopefully is playing a lot more clear music now.
Yeah, it is. It sounds great, in fact. So
Well,
great that I
it
had to
was.
lower it a little bit,
Okay.
the volume,
Well,
because it's
our
really loud.
network is sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's pretty choppy. And so I've put my phone on one network and I put my computer on a whole different network. And that way I can kind of tell the difference anyway. All right.
All I want to do is put my ego on another network and keep my Holy Spirit on my network.
Oh, I think if Sean was here, he would definitely agree with you. Sean is the king of that. He has a different network that he puts his mobile phone on, his computers on, separates everything.
That's a good idea to have the full range of.
He's really brilliant about
Environment.
that stuff. He's
Yeah.
getting a patent on something that he worked on special
Yes.
in security and networking, and he's awesome, man. All right, I have everything lined up for myself So I'm just going to read the question out, and we'll take a moment to have some meditation. The birds will contribute to the meditation today because they cannot be silenced. So, Tom, we talked a little bit earlier about you doing the meditation for a week or so. Is that still okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
Wonderful.
I love
Okay,
your
awesome.
meditations, Tom. So guide us, please.
All right. You sounded pretty good to me, and I am going to let you at it. I'll just read the question, and then we'll have our meditation. And if anybody else has anything to contribute, that's great. We get started here at about 7:30 every morning. I'm going to stick a little closer to that. Excuse me, 6:30 every morning. I'm going to stick a little closer to that time. But I put us in the clubhouse schedule at 6:37. So if you want to be reminded that we're doing this, you can tap either me or Lovely or Bob or Adriana or Tom. Tap any of our faces and hit the bell, and whenever we talk, you'll be reminded. This Lovely account, I really only go to this one, and the automatically with the sound definitely only goes to this one. So if you want to just hear about this one, that'll give you an alert on your phone. And thank you guys so much for coming here. This really has done wonders in my life. We've been reading here now 134 days for the lessons, and we're coming up on a year for when we started on July 4th. And I'm super grateful to my dad sticking with me for the last 6 years. Has been reading this every morning, but the habit has definitely paid off for making it easier to understand and kind of knowing what the lesson is really kind of talking about. The more times you do it, the easier it gets. All right, the question is, if tomorrow you're walking down the street and someone, for no apparent reason, kicks you in the teeth and you forgive that person, does that mean that the event never occurred? Remember my definition of forgiveness. Forgiveness means I forgive my brother for all the wrongs that I thought he did to me that never really occurred. If you forgave him, does that mean he never kicked you in the teeth? Or, since he really did kick you in the teeth and there are witnesses who will testify on the truth of your story, is forgiveness impossible? Now, think about that while
It's
you listen to Tom. But, brother Tom, you got to come off mute. So we got to do that a little bit and then we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Why don't
Thanks.
you get yourself in a comfortable position
All right,
and
I'm going to do
hit
that.
this?
I'm going to go get in a comfortable position. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, and that could be sitting in a chair, laying down, preferably something that you won't fall asleep in. So you may or may not want to lay down. If you're traveling, just listen and don't actually do this. We want your attention on driving. But uh, so why don't we, in this exercise, ask that we choose someone that we uh, feel has wronged us. And what I'd like you to do is I want to offer you a person that really needs your forgiveness, and that's yourself. Okay, because the only one, God, if God didn't condemn you, the only one in reality that could have condemned you is yourself. So it's us that needs to forgive ourselves for our misunderstanding that we could somehow change our true nature, which is part of that oneness of all that is perfect, whole, and complete. So just relax and start becoming aware of your breath. And as you breathe, realize that you are not the body, but you're actually individuated consciousness, energy. And the body is just a mere placeholder in this world of time and space. It merely holds a place so that we can experience, demonstrate, and learn what we truly are and reawaken to our true spiritual magnificence. So watch the breath, and as you do, so you take an inhale, inhale energy, pure energy, and release all thoughts that you somehow are the body and the body is you. So energy in, all thoughts of separation out. Energy in, all thoughts of separation out. And as you become aware that you're this energy field, I want you to move up the base of the spine, up forward towards the head, and I want you to rest in the chakra, the crown chakra above the head, your essence. So place your essence outside the body where you can look down upon it. For you are not confined by the limits of the body, for you are as God created you, pure energy. And just rest there, hovering above your body, looking down upon it. And it's this game token, this belief that somehow we are separate, that we belong to this physical world, that we've become a earner, and that we are a sinner that has been separated, that we want to forgive ourselves. We want to forgive ourselves of the belief that we are a sinner, that we are separate from God, and that we felt that we needed to do penance to earn our way back into God's good graces. God knows you as his treasure, perfect, whole, and complete, part of the oneness of all that is. And as you rest above the body, shower down your own forgiveness for misbelieving that you could be other than something as God created you, that you had sinned, that you had wronged God, that you had wronged yourself, and that you had demanded and extracted some type of retribution from your physical game token that was merely a placeholder so that you could learn, experience, and be what you truly are, which in this time space continuum, this dimension, is merely being love in full. Just rest in the knowing that you are God's beloved child, with whom she is well pleased, part of the oneness of all. Give yourself permission to forgive yourself of all perceived sins, any type of blame, shame, or guilt that you may believe you deserve, for you never did anything wrong. You could not harm the oneness of all that is. You were never separate. And it's only your misunderstanding, your misperception, your condemnation of yourself that needs to be forgiven. You've condemned yourself to a life of misery, pain, and suffering because you've misperceived what you truly are. You are light. You are energy. You are God's beloved child. You are the treasure of God. And through your willingness to participate in the illusion of separation, God gets to know himself. God gets to demonstrate love in form. So give yourself permission to forgive yourself from your belief that you are a sinner, that you have to earn your redemption, and realize that you are an acquisitive soul demonstrating and learning your true magnificence. You are perfect, whole, and complete, part of the oneness of all that is, and release that belief that you could be something other than that. You remain as God created you, perfect, whole, and complete. And as you look down upon the game token we call the body, realize that that is not you. That's merely an actor that struts on the stage of this time space continuum and plays in the game board of separation. But that's not your true reality. It's merely your costume. You remain that energy, individuated consciousness, part of the one self, two sides of one inseparable coin. God cause, you effect, and you remain there, indivisible oneness. And as you look down upon that body, give yourself permission to unlock all the doors that you've placed in front of yourself as you perceive yourself or others to be earners, sinners, rather than learners, inquisitive children exploring and learning their true spiritual magnificence. Just rest in that knowing. And now, what I'd like you to do is to start becoming aware of that game token again, the breathing, the love of God in, all thoughts of separation out. With each breath, God's love in, all thoughts of lack, limitation, separation out. Energy in, all thoughts of separation out. Energy in, all guilt, blame, shame out. Forgive yourself for the illusion that you could be something other than God's treasure, God's beloved child. And as you get comfortable again with that body, that game token that gives us a space, a place in this dimension of time and space, glance up and there above you, see a bright light shining down upon you, illuminating yourself and your world. And as you listen, you'll hear the voice. This is my beloved child with whom I am well pleased, perfect, whole, and complete, part of me. I love you unconditionally. As you feel that energy flowing down, accept the love of God. I accept the love of God. I release all belief that I could have been something other than as God created me. The love of God in, all thoughts of separation, sin, guilt, fear out. The love of God in, all thoughts of sin, fear, guilt out. The love of God in, release all fear. And now let's extend that love to your world. The love of God in, love extended out. The love of God in, extend the love of God out. And as you light your world, know that the world is a reflection of me. And let your light shine. And as you now rest in that knowing that you remain God's beloved child, take a moment and circulate that energy throughout your game token, that is the body, up through the soles of your feet, up through the back, around the head, through the front, back down the feet, in this great circular orbit of energy, and re-energize that game token so that today it will be again a useful tool to communicate to your world what you truly value and be love informed. Accept your true identity as the Christ. So just circulate that, and with each breath, do that about 5 times. And when you feel comfortable and are grounded, open your eyes, what you really are.
That was fantastic. Let's just sit with that for a little while longer. I've got our question of the day pasted in the chat.
Can you talk a little bit louder, please?
Sure, I can absolutely talk a little bit louder, but I want us to kind of sit with this thought of the day. And so what I was hoping to do is let you stay in your meditative state and take a couple of more minutes with this thought of the day. True forgiveness should be practiced throughout the day, for there will still be many times when you forget the meaning of true forgiveness and attack yourself as a sinner. When this belief in sin's reality occurs, allow your mind to see through this illusion as you tell yourself, let me perceive true forgiveness as it is. Would I accuse myself of doing this? I will not lay this chain upon myself. So in everything you do, remember this. No one is crucified alone, and yet no one can enter heaven by himself. And we can stay silent until somebody really feels moved to speak. There's nothing but wonderful peace in the silence.
Well, I gotta say, let me know if I'm okay with the sound. But I gotta say that I love Tom's meditations. They are really powerful. And I'm really grateful to be able to place my mind in the energy state of mind. So it's very good. It's very good. So
Thank you, thank you.
I wanted to share something that I was thinking the other day, because sometimes we as women feel really mistreated by our partners. And that creates this blame and guilt cycle, right? And there's sometimes when in our minds as women, we really like, it feels in the moments that I was in conflict with my ex-husband in the past, I was really like wanting an apology from him. It seems like in order for me to be able to forgive him, it was so necessary for me to hear an apology that I really was angry for not getting one. And I was angry for not getting one. And when he finally saw me like all over the place with my anger or my sadness, that's when he came back. He came to me and said, "Well, I'm sorry," and whatever. And it didn't feel good, the apology. So I never could forgive him in the past when we were in conflict. And now that I really understand the concept of one, I can clearly see that we are so like eager to have those apologies as part of the forgiving process. But we don't really take a moment to realize, why do we want to be rebuilt by somebody who didn't mind to break you in the first place? Like, who is gonna break you and who is gonna rebuild you? There's only one that can be broken and can be rebuilt. So if you're placing your forgiveness process upon the idea that you need to see in the other side the willingness for an apology, to apologize or whatever, it's like you're giving them the power to rebuild you when they didn't matter in the first place to do the situation. So it's always it always came back to one. I mean, no matter what kind of situation you are going through, even if you understand the metaphysics of this or not, it will always come to one. You are the one who feels broken, so you can't expect somebody outside of you rebuild you. Only you can rebuild yourself. Only you can feel broken. So for me, this whole journey with A Course in Miracles was really the reverse thought process that I needed in order for me to release my attachment to the conflict that I had. Not because now I can see more apologies from my ex-husband, because in fact those are coming more often than it used to be, but because I now clearly see that he didn't do anything. I mean, it was all me feeling incomplete and demanding from outside to fulfill something that never was incomplete, never was been mistreated. It was all on me feeling separated from from some part of my nature. So that need of apologies needs to be reversed in minds. We don't need somebody. I mean, if that happened and it feels great, fine. But if something happened to you and you think that you need an apology in order to forgive, you are giving back the control outside of you, and that will create more conflict, because the only one that can be broken is you, and the only one that can rebuild yourself, but rebuild whatever is broken is you. There's so many times that I heard this idea, like, yeah, it's like if you have a love in your life, and then something happened and the trust is broken. It's like when you broke a glass vase or something, that you can glue the parts together, but it will not look the same. Well, guess what? That is all an illusion. I mean, you are not a vase. You are not anything in the physical form, so you can't be broken. You can't be, honestly, it's just an illusion. You can't be broken. If you think that the love that you have with others, it's something that can be dropped into the floor, broken, and glued together again, then you are making love unreal. Because love and light, it's all over present, it's complete, and it's full, and it will happen no matter what, no matter even if you don't think so. So it's really funny. Separation doesn't exist, and you are not your body. So there's nothing to be broken in the first place. There's no need for an apology, and if it happens and you feel that it's good for you, okay, great. But please, if you have conflict in your life, don't expect to forgive out of an apology from other people outside, because that will create the loop again. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you. That's great.
I wanted to share that, and I also wanted to share that I'm really going through this realization in the physical experience. Because as I was saying, getting back here in this house is realizing that something that I was is no longer there. But it's not because I'm ceased to exist, it's just that I changed. So being back here in this place and realizing that this place is not longer my place, not because I don't feel welcome or anything, it's just because it's not no longer the place where I will spend the most of my days. It's a funny feeling. It's like a grieving process. Like some part of me is dying in a good way, because some new Adriana is coming. It's coming to life, and I needed to be away and come back to allow the physical experience to be really acknowledged in my mind and be okay with it. So for these past few days, I have been feeling the entire range of sadness, sorrow, guilt. Yesterday was really intense for me. I felt really the guilt that I was holding inside of me, and I released it as well, because I understood that was something that I needed to go through. I needed to go through the feeling of feeling guilty in order for me to really wake up and say, yeah, that is something that I can experience, but I'm not that. It's really like understanding that in the world of duality, in order for things to grow, they need to have winters, they need to have spring and summers, and you have to just go with the flow and not getting attached to anything. Just go with the flow, experience the storm, experience the sunlight, experience the rainbow, experience everything, but not feeling like you are that. Because if you feel that you are just one of those things, okay, and Frida, go. So if you feel that you are some of those, and you get identified with one of those in a deep way, you will get fixed. And that is where you think that you can be broken. When you get attached to the idea that you are just one single thing. For example, in my case, if I get so attached to the idea that I have to be just a mother, I will not move. I will stay here. And I will be with my daughter out of fear, not out of love. Because I am attached to the idea that I am a mother and I have to be just that in the first place because that's what is the right thing to do. There's no right and wrong. It's just experience. What is the experience in life that you want to live? If you want to be loved and you want to be a good mother, you will find a way because love will always find a way. ¿Qué
You sure
pasa?
have. You
Sorry.
found a way. It's a wonderful thing. And she's in the middle of it too. So um, I know that when I read, it's like I've got the mic for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and it really sets a tone so that people share for a while with us. And it's super obvious to me because I'm reading, and so I'm not really sharing, I'm just reading. And what I'd love to do is for us to try and keep our shares on topic as much as we can. So we can get the shares down to 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes tops. But if we can stay on a specific subject, and in this case, we've got a great subject to kind of focus on. My Kindle book died again, but I'll bring it back up. But that'll help us kind of stay a little bit more focused and help us kind of really get the most out of these lessons. So today we're talking specifically about forgiveness in this lesson number 134. And so I got a whole bunch out of this one, Tom. I really appreciate your notes on this one. The setting your brother free part to me kind of clicked with the metaphor of a jail. And I started picturing a three-sided jail that was just no matter who's carrying the keys, no matter whether I'm sitting on as a jailer right outside the door, or if I'm way on the other side of the prison, I'm in a three-walled cell. The other wall doesn't exist. It's just a part of my mind, and all I have to do is turn around and head in the other direction. And that was my freeing revelation for some month in the last 6 years, and it was a freeing revelation that freed me up from a whole bunch of resentment that I didn't have to carry around. So I really appreciated how you put that in there. And anyway, that's my part. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. If anybody else wants to share on this lesson 134, love to hear from you.
I get busy a little bit, but I wanted to share to finish
That's okay. Could you come
point.
closer to your microphone? It's hard to hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna finish like the point that I was trying to get. So the forgiveness process is not. I mean, it's beautiful what Tom did with the meditation because he focused the attention on ourselves, and it's funny because when it comes to forgiveness, the first thing that our minds tries to do, or at least mine, it's bringing someone different than me. So we always try to forgive everything but us. So it's beautiful what he did because in relation to what I was sharing, I had to forgive him during these days that I'm back here in this house. I had to forgive all the concepts that I was. I had to forgive the idea that I was the mom in this household, that I was the one who sets where put things around here, that I'm my mother-in-law's best companion because I'm no longer here. So I had to really forgive those. And in order to forgive, I had to really let some tears go and feel the guilt or the sorrow of not seeing the things that I used to see here before I left. So the forgiving process doesn't need an apology from the outside, and it surely requires you to don't get attached to any concepts that you think you are, because you are not only that. And if you get fixed in those ideas, you will get broken. You will get the idea that you can be broken. So don't get attached. And yeah, I think that was it. That's the way that you can bring your power back and feel really guided. There's sometimes that we need to feel like control over things, but we need to seek more to feel guided instead of controlling things. because feeling guided sometimes require like just trust, and you will see. And feeling control over things, it's just getting things hard, like in a hard way, and that will always put resistance into the energy. So I hope this helps for anybody. For me, it has been really quite a ride these days, and my daughter is really okay and happy, and we are moving forward with the ideas that we have for being a new kind of family, and everything is going well. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with my ex-husband's new partner a little bit, and it
that's
was
awesome.
really a good moment.
Yeah.
And I get to thank her for being kind with my daughter, and she told me that she can see that Vera is really a good, that she has a good mother too. So it was a beautiful small talk, but
That to
it
me
was
is an
like a
amazing
gift,
miracle.
Yeah,
It's
it
really
was my gift
incredible.
yesterday. Yeah, and it was all because of Vera. Vera was the one who called me. I was in my mother-in-law's, and Vera called me and said, "Mommy, I want you to say hi to Paloma." And I, okay, did you ask your father? She didn't even give us time to think, and she just
Because
connected.
you're
And
just down the
Paloma,
street now. I mean,
yeah,
it's all
yeah,
different. It's not like
yeah,
you're not 2,000 kilometers
exactly,
away. You're
exactly.
just down the street,
It's
and it might
beautiful,
as well be happy family time while you're there. It's
exactly.
wonderful.
So, welcome everybody. If anybody wants to share something, I hope this piece of my experience gives you some inspiration too. And thank you for listening and for being here. I love you, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? I came in a bit late. Good, good. Hey, Adriana. I came in a bit late on the meditation, but the part that I did catch was so beautiful. And I'm still marinating and glowing in that meditation. It was so. I have to go back and listen to the replay because it was really, really nice. And I appreciate it. Um, I was just contemplating that question in the chat. I thought, wow,
Yeah.
that's
We're
kind
going
of
to
heavy.
do that for the next couple of weeks at least. So hopefully I've fixed some audio issues that we had before. You can hear me more clearly, and we'll be separated. Adriana, when she gets closer to her mic, everything's going to be a lot clearer. And so hopefully we'll have kind of a new format for a little bit. And if that works well, then everything else will be smooth sailing. But yeah, please do go back and listen to the replay today more than any time before. I think we've got a better replay, and I'm gonna share it out to all the other places too. But anyway, Janine, let me know what you think. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Everything sounded great to me. I had no problem hearing you, Adriana. It was great. Or Tom. Um, yeah, I need to listen to the replay because I'm still thinking about that one. If somebody kicked me in the teeth and I'm walking down the street, which I guess that kind of happened in metaphorically with my contractor. He kind of kicked me in the teeth, and I did forgive him. But I am still holding on to something. Something's still there. I'm still working through it and being gentle with myself and allowing myself to process it. We're working together again. Things seem to be back to normal with us, and we're going through the flip pretty well. But yeah, I guess it takes time. These things take a little bit of time, and even though we want to say yes, I forgive, I let go, I trust, I I I do love him, but There's a part of me, my ego wants to hold on to it and say, no, I don't entirely trust him. Which means I don't really forgive him completely. So I know that will come. So that's all I wanted to add. But thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Janine.
This is a hard topic.
Thanks, Janine.
It's a hard topic to tackle because until we really forgive ourselves, we can't forgive someone else, whether they are sinners or not. And it's all about that old boogaboo called level confusion. If we remember that we are God's children, and we are perfect, whole, and complete, then no one can hurt us in the first place. Whatever they did was a mistake at worst, and that's all there is to it. At that level, anybody can be forgiven. And sometimes we need to go ratchet up to that level, which is within us, forgive the person at that level, and try to ratchet back down to the level at which the hurt was inflicted. So if someone kicks me in the teeth, I could say, I don't know how in the world you were able to kick me at such a high level, but that was really a good kick. That would be a way of forgiving. However, however,
That's really funny.
actually, a lot of this is funny when we realize that it's easier to walk around with total forgiveness in our heart than to carry resentments, because when someone inflicts pain, then you have a hurt. If you can fix it right then, but if you carry that resentment on along with you for days, weeks, months, and years, decades, you're only hurting yourself. You're remembering bad stuff the rest of your life. Who do you have to forgive then? The only thing you have to forgive is yourself. So it really is a matter of level. So I would say, for me, I have to ratchet up and remember that we all are God's little children. All of us. We're all playing in a yard, or as Tom says, we're tokens on a game board, that we forgot to laugh about stuff. When we reaffirm our oneness with God and our oneness with everyone, and we say and remember we all are God's little children, our environment changes. The form of our environment starts to change. We are happier in a more pleasant way because no one could hurt me. You know, the Japanese people, who did not inflict a whole what the Germans did in World War II, they were bombed. Millions of people, I think I'm right on that number, were killed. But today we're working just fine with them. They had the innate ability, spirituality, conscientiousness, or maybe just an acceptance of the truth that we, the Americans, could be forgiven. It was to their benefit that they forgave us. They also recognized they had done something wrong. People in that same way relate to us differently. It's all really not, I don't need to get into it. But I think the most important thing here is always to ratchet right up to of truth, which is that we are perfect, whole, and complete. We cannot sin, and then take it back down into the real world and work it out. Then we tend to spend more time up there, a better place to be. Thanks.
In that example, where I say someone kicks me in the teeth, did it really happen? Um, in time and space, it actually did occur. But what we have to be aware of is what is the purpose of time and space. And if we look at time and space and realize that this is just uh, we're actors, then we can realize that if we went to a play and we saw someone out on the stage kicking someone in the teeth, or we'd realize that they were just an actor. They were not, they were playing their role, they were playing a part. But once they leave the stage, those people could be best of friends. Those people would realize that that was just a play act and that nothing really had happened that was detrimental to either one. Each played their role on the stage, but each remained unaffected. It was just a game. So if we realize that, yes, I can go and say, on such and such a day, someone actually kicked me, but in reality, that is not me. That was my game token. And so we want to be, as Bob said, become aware of what we really are, and that we're just here watching this game board play out so that we can grow and learn and realize what we truly value. And we eventually move up the ladder of that awareness to being reclaiming our divine inheritance. Thank you.
I would say sometimes it feels like, though, you have to almost have a detachment in that, say, the person was kicked in the teeth and with their game token was actually kicked, and then now they have to spend a couple days in the hospital and have to get their jaw wired shut. They have to get some teeth replaced, and they're going through a lot of physical pain, and something that they wouldn't have had to deal with had they not been kicked in the teeth by the other game token. Maybe lose, time from work or whatever. Going through that for that particular individual, it's really, in this world, it's really a challenge, and for that person mentally, they could say they forgive the person, that then they have this physical pain. It's always a reminder, and it's like a setback for them. So, and I get everything for sure, and I've definitely fully moved on past things, and I know it's taken me a lot longer, less long to forgive, and much easier to forgive myself. I forgive myself much easier now, thanks to Course in Miracles. So it's definitely a process. I've definitely seen where a mother has forgiven the murderer of her child, and it was some story, I can't recall the specific story, where the parent of the victim became friends with the prisoner, and they became friends. So yeah, it's that level of forgiveness is available to us all. So yeah, thank you.
There have been people on TV after tragedy who will get up in front of the mic with all the fanfare in their minds, at least, and say, I will never forgive those people for what. And every time I hear that these days, I just think, what a terrible self-inflicted pain you have just given yourself. Because you're going to carry around that resentment for the rest of your life. Who is that going to hurt? It's going to hurt you more than anyone. On the other hand, we know that God has never, ever condemned. Even in the story of the Garden of Eden, everyone likes to point to the original and call the original sin. I have to check what I'm about to say. I might be, but as I recall, I don't recall. Let's put it this way: God says, "All right, you're out of here, and don't let the door hit you as you leave." He originally said, "Don't eat from that tree, the fruit. Don't mess you up." He didn't go into the detail of why, because he was the adult in the room. He just said, "Don't eat from there." Well, Adam, Eve did, and I'm not sure if God, somebody here is more biblically knowledgeable, help me remember whether actually God verbally banished them, go out and suffer or something. But the problem is the condemnation in the first place. If we're condemning them, then we have to forgive ourselves for condemning them. It's that we forgive them, and it's complete some very fundamental things of spirituality, which if we progress in that's when we have to forgive ourselves. It's
Bob,
about
I'm hearing you break up a bit. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that.
Okay. Did you get the message at least?
It was a little choppy. I think I heard it. I got the main point.
Okay.
We get most of it. Yeah. This
Good.
is normal. I think kind of this choppiness actually happens quite often, but I have a hard time figuring out whether it's me or you or what. But this time, at least, the music stayed clear, so I'm getting it a little bit clearer now. Do you have your headset in, Dad?
No. Is this better right now?
It's okay, but when you speak on the speakerphone, it just works a lot better with your headset. Anyway, no big
I
deal.
don't speakerphone, Lee, with this. I only use the phone.
You're on speakerphone right now. That's the way you're using this, because you're talking through your phone. No big deal. It doesn't matter. It's no big deal. Rainbow, how's your day going? And does anybody else want to share from down? Oh, too many people left down there. Anybody, anything wants to say? Anybody, doesn't matter. All good.
Can you hear me now?
Nope, you sound really far off in the distance.
Yeah, because I'm proving to you that only my phone is the speaker here, not the laptop computer at all.
I don't think it's your laptop, Dad. Your phone is acting as both the speaker and the microphone. You're talking through your phone. That's all I'm
Yes.
saying. And because you're on the speakerphone mode, you're getting a little bit of an echo, and you sound like you're in a distance. When you use your headset on your phone, then it sounds much better.
Okay.
When you use your Bluetooth headset.
Yep. Let's try that. Thank you, everybody,
Okay.
for letting Lee fix me here.
Today, I did a whole bunch of adjustments so that everybody can be louder without it affecting the quality, but that means that we all have to get a little bit closer to our microphones and stuff. But it's hopefully should be perfectly clear after this tiny adjustment here. Adriana, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You sound a lot better when you can hold your mic up front. I know it might not be as easy, but it makes a world of difference. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. How is this? This ought to sound very good then.
That sounds awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Even though I had a poor connection. Okay. Very interesting.
It
You're
makes
right
a world of
about the
difference. I
Bluetooth.
can make
Yep.
you 20% louder through the system now. And that makes a world of difference. So everything else gets lower because the connection gets better.
Okay, good. Lesson learned. Thank you.
Well, everybody, I have to hit the road. I am driving 3.5 hours up to
Oh my gosh, what
Poughkeepsie.
for? Oh
Well,
my,
my
well that
my
sounds
uncle Simon, my mother's dear brother, ah, he's just an amazing man. He's 84. He's in the hospital, and he's been in there all week. And he's got prostate cancer that has gone to his bones. So he's just having a battle up there, and he has his best friend lives up there too, and has been helping him. But I just thought we all wanted to go up, but they have rules that you can only have 2 visitors a day, like period. Like those same 2 visitors has to have to go in and out the same day. So his step grandson is going up there, and I think I will. And him and his sister and my mom are having a little conflict. So he doesn't really want to see my mom, so she's not going and talk about forgiveness. So we'll see. It'll interesting to see how that unfolds. So, but just wanted to say thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful Saturday. And
Thanks, Janine. I hope it
y'all,
all goes really smoothly.
I'm sure it will. And thanks, Lee, for all you do, for all the adjustments and the technical stuff you do.
Sure,
Yeah.
Because
you know it.
I
Sorry,
sure
sorry
don't
for
know
the.
wouldn't know how to do it. So,
Well, I'm gearing up to teach a class, so we'll make it. If you're really interested, I can teach you. Thank you all for coming. It definitely has given me a platform to learn how to do this, so I definitely appreciate it. Hey, Michael and Rainbow, how have you guys been doing? I know, Michael, you might have had some rough time this week. I was with you in those choppy waters, brother. But I hope you're having smooth sailing today and the weekend goes better. And tomorrow we'll be here about 2 hours earlier than this to read lesson 135. I have to go put some appointments into Clubhouse. So we've got something to hang our hat on.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. This is helpful. Appreciate it.
Hey, Michael, there you are. All right, you're going to have to come closer to your mic too. I'm going to beef up our audio quality requirements to be a part of this show. Maybe I'm the one with the problem. It frequently works out that way.
Yeah, we're gonna need microphones.
Oh, that's much, much better. All right, that sounded like 20%, and then you came into 80%. So that's much, much better.
Yeah, thanks for doing this morning.
You got it, no problem. Well, I think Tom's meditation helps a ton, and I got started a little bit early. I'll keep getting started a little bit early, and I appreciate you guys coming. So thank you very, very much. I'll let the music play us out. If anybody wants to share, you're welcome to, but thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody.
Just want to say, create a great day. Namaste. Bye.